in actual events.
Hello,
And
everyone. Welcome to join you today. I'm with Gandalf from RockX. So, could you introduce yourself, please, Gandalf?
hi, thanks for having me. Like you said, I'm Gandalf from RockX. I'm part of the ecosystem team, and I have been in this space for over 5 years now. Worked in a number of different areas, from blockchain platforms to working with dApps, managing communities, doing marketing, brand awareness, BD. Worked with a number of NFT projects, done project management. I've been around and twice, it feels like, and in this space with everything moving so fast, it feels like you can do that twice and in the same space that it takes you just to have one job in the traditional space. So it's very exciting, and love to be here and talking Zil and talking RockX with DeFi and staking and access nodes. I'm very excited to see what the conversation is going to be.
Let's do it. So, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, Gandalf. In the back scene, we talked a bit about the situation of the market, of course. It's impacting everyone, I think, but let's keep building. Let's keep building. Let's keep deploying. And
Absolutely.
actually, it's a good show that let's say, all the nodes in the ecosystem as a blockchain are vital, basically, for maintaining the security of the transaction. What's happening on Solana is kind of strange, but cannot happen on Zilliqa. So we are fortunate with this. And of course, you can use some different solution for stacking your ZIL with a node as a node provider, RockX. So can you tell me more a bit about that? Like, how does it work? I have some ZIL.
Sure.
What shall I do?
Absolutely. So with RockX, let me take a step back for a second and just explain what RockX is.
Sure.
And we've got three verticals. So we're a fintech, a Web3 fintech platform, not just staking. And the three verticals that we have are financials, which is the staking. The second one is data in access nodes, and the third is in wallet management or key management and security. So, in relation to staking, we stake across a number of different blockchains. One of them being Zilliqa, which is where we're here today, and we're also building out other infrastructure to support staking, whether it be liquid staking or, like I mentioned, about the wallet management to support those products and services. And the idea with using RockX is where not only are we trying to be a one-stop shop, but we're also trying to reduce the barrier of entry for a lot of people. And so the simplicity of when you stake with RockX is one of the key things. And we've built that out at this one-stop portal for our access nodes, and we're also building the same thing out with staking. And what that will allow you to do is, excuse me, is as you have a wallet with, so let's say you want to stake ZIL, and then you also want to stake uh, Cosmos or Osmo tokens or ETH or anything else. You have to go into the Explorer for each of those blockchains. You have to figure out how to stake and how to set up your wallet to be able to either lock the tokens or send them to the staking contract or whatever it ends up being. But you have to do that for each different blockchain, and it's quite difficult to understand that. And so with the RockX portal, what we're trying to do is allow it to be so that you just have to go to the one location, click a few buttons, lock it up, and it's done and dusted, and you don't have to worry about it from then on. Now, the staking that RockX does is also non-custodial, which is really important, especially in this day and age where we're seeing the situation with Binance, with FTX, and not your keys, not your crypto, I think the saying is. So if you're going to stake, make sure it's non-custodial staking. And what that means is non-custodial means that the staking provider does not actually take custody of your tokens. So you're not actually sending your tokens to a wallet that is controlled by the provider or the platform, and then they stake them for you. That's custodial staking. And it's important to differentiate the two, because with custodial staking, just like with a centralized exchange, if you don't have control of the wallet, they could go down and lock the withdrawals, and you're stuck, which is really quite unfortunate for a lot of people. Whereas with non-custodial staking, what's happening is you're locking the tokens within your wallet, and all you're doing is you're signing a transaction that says these tokens are now locked with the staking contract, but they're still in your wallet. You still have complete control over them. So if the platform or the company has a security breach or in solvency issues or liquidation issues or whatever it ends up being, your tokens are unaffected.
But also, I want to mention that we did a good job with Zilliqa to not be listed on FTX because we could be a part of the contagion. Of course, every market got impacted, let's be honest. But so far, it's starting to recover slowly, but it start to recover a bit. Let's be honest, that's the main issue when you don't have the control of your token directly. And what happened, it is what it is, let's say. Solana right now is in trouble, in a big trouble. Did you had some nodes on Solana, actually? I'm curious.
We do, yes, which obviously we're watching that quite closely. But with saying that, although the nodes are on Solana, I mean, to be honest with you, this is just the latest of issues with Solana. I'm not sure if you heard about the Hetzner, I think it was.
No, I didn't heard about this one.
I think it's Hetzner is the name, but there's a cloud provider or a server, and quite a lot of nodes on Solana were being hosted through this provider, just like AWS or Google Cloud. Now, unfortunately, take this with a grain of salt because I haven't looked into it. I'm just kind of conveying this information. But apparently what happened was on the testnet, there was a bug that was introduced which caused essentially DDoS on some of the nodes. And so that then caused the cloud provider to look into it, and then they didn't know what was going on, so they just shut down all the nodes on the testnet. But then that then flagged it for the management team of the cloud provider, who then realized, hang on, we don't really want this to happen on any of our other accounts, so let's just completely ban crypto. And so they essentially just locked down all accounts that had anything to do with crypto, whether it be a validator running validator nodes, whether it was staking, whether it was anything. And so all of a sudden, all these validators on Solana went down, which then caused the network to crash. And all because these guys decided that they didn't want to get involved in crypto anymore. And then the accounts, people saw that their accounts were down, and so they then emailed through to the cloud provider and asked them, like, what's going on? How can we fix this? And they're like, the only way to fix it is by completely removing all crypto associated software. And we're like, well, you can't just like completely ban us with no warning or anything. And they're like, oh yeah, it's in our T's and C's, and it's some convoluted T&C that's really ambiguous, and it just says, I can't remember what it says, but it's ridiculous. So anyway, so that was why I was like, well, Solana is actually, this is just the latest in a string of things for Solana, unfortunately. Thankfully, we were not hosted on any of that Hetzner. We weren't hosted with them, so we weren't affected. But we do have validator nodes on Solana.
I mean, until our validator nodes are not impacted, it's all fine, but it's not the case, so it's perfect. But yeah, I'm just thinking for the future of the crypto, this kind of event actually prove how much other blockchain are strong and able basically to deploy more all the nodes on different platform and not be fully centralized. And this is a good point for everyone basically to understand it. The more your nodes are decentralized, the better it is.
Absolutely. And there are a couple of other understanding where the bottlenecks for centralization occur is, like you say, is really quite important, because just because like if AWS or Google Cloud decided to shut down their services for crypto validators, we would find out very, very quickly that a lot of validators are still not really decentralized in the true sense.
Exactly.
Yes, I think that has actually been a topic of conversation. Do you know if many Zilliqa nodes are hosted on a particular cloud provider?
Actually, we track all of them, of course, we have to. And no, we are not so much centralized, actually. We mostly super split, and it's a
Hmm.
good point of force for us. We are on different platform and using mostly all the one we found secure. There is a big due diligence with all the node providers. We don't want basically to be like, let's say, hosted by some nodes providers that can take the control of our blockchain. So that's why we so much expanding on
Mm.
the who is providing our nodes. And also the
But
community can choose which nodes they want to use with their ZIL to basically give some power to the validator.
do you find that there's an issue as far as privacy if you're knowing everything about the validator nodes there?
What do you mean? Like if
As
everyone
far
can
as like
find
where
it?
they're so if you know that where they're being hosted and who they are, etc.
Hmm.
Do you um do you find that there is a trade-off there, or are you still able to keep that privacy?
No, of course we knows it, let's say, but only the team. And this
Mm,
info stay with the team. It's not really shared. Depending if our node provider want to share his location, his face, his name, or anything, he- it's free for him. I mean, I will
of
not
course.
force him. Everyone can stay anonymous in this, let's say, in this space.
Mm, mm,
So for me personally, it's their choice. I prefer
yeah.
privacy.
Hmm.
Everyone do what he wants.
Of course, of course. No, that does make sense. I think um, I think a lot of blockchains, not naming any in particular big ones, but I think they could probably take a lesson from decentralizing a little bit further as far as the validator nodes go.
Absolutely. I mean, personally, I'm starting to think to run my own nodes for being just sure about all my transaction can pass on the blockchain directly.
I see. Because what you'll then sign it to specifically go through those particular nodes.
Not yet, not yet. I'm just thinking like basically what to do for the next. And the next bull run will be actually mostly focused on the decentralization, I think. With what we've seen
Yep.
recently with Luna blowing up, now Solana,
Mm,
FTX
mm,
blowing up. I mean, it's super interesting, but we need to be more decentralized. We need to be sure that this kind of stuff cannot happen.
mm.
So that's it.
Well, there's kind of it goes back and forward in my mind in the sense that we need to make sure this stuff can't happen. As so from a decentralized perspective, that's the approach. But
Yeah,
then on the flip side, we're trying to work with the regulators and the traditional spaces, and they are seeing things like, well, if it's decentralized, it can't be managed, and you run into all these sort of issues, and you don't know what's going on. Whereas if we manage it under proper regulations and rules, we don't have these sort of fallout effects. But
it is what it is. You cannot have
absolutely,
both. That's the main
that's right.
issue. One
Yeah.
want to control everything. The second one want to basically give the power to everyone. Doesn't work.
Mm. I'm actually
So
really interested. I think we were talking just before we went live that I'm really interested to see the flow on effect in the traditional space to see how willing some of these traditional organizations and companies, whether they be ones that are being sponsored, so sports teams or gaming teams or financial institutes, how willing they are to still be associated, given that FTX, which was massive in the sporting scene, has now gone down in this controversy.
I will reveal you something. JP Morgan during
Mm.
the last Friday made their first transaction on the blockchain. Actually,
Hmm.
two transactions because the first ones failed. They didn't put the right gas fee. They are just trying, basically, with the Fireblocks wallet to make their
Hmm.
first transaction, understand how it's work. So if already the TradFi is starting to use the DeFi, it's a good, let's say, mass education content for everyone. That's if they
Mm.
manage
Mm.
to do that, other banks can do it also. So that means the DeFi will grow super soon.
What's
And
Sorry, go on. Yep.
That's where Zilliqa actually we are focusing to provide a good DeFi, because soon we're gonna have also this kind of player coming to us. So
yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, you actually reminded me of an article I wrote a number of years. I think it was in 2018. That was one of the past lives I had. I was a Cointelegraph journalist and a journalist for a few other platforms. But this article was more of a research piece on banks and financial institutes that were looking into or researching or had already dived into blockchain technology, not cryptocurrency, but blockchain technology. And I didn't spend a huge amount. I only spent a couple of weeks researching it, and I had a list of 220 banks and financial institutes back in 2018. And I challenged anybody who I shared the article with. I said, find me a well-known bank that's not on this list. And nobody could. Every single well-known bank around the world in more of the major countries or continents was on that list. And so they have been working quite quietly behind the scenes, as you say. And these guys, they move slowly. I'm not sure anybody who's watching or listening knows about traditional space, but of all the traditional spaces that move slowly, I think banking and financials are one of the slowest. So for them to be working on it back 4 or 5 years ago, hopefully that means we're going to start to see this these floodgates open, because there is still, even though there's a lot of money in this space, there's still a lot that is waiting to come in. And with the economy at the moment, it's not looking good for anywhere else, really.
You made a good point actually with the TradFi. In fact, when you are a bank, you have many billion. But the stuff is, if you want to try a new technology that you don't know, and all the news you see is basically this guy blew up because he made a bad management of his treasury, you'll be like, okay, I need to be sure that I will not, sorry for the word, but screw up. So they wait for the basically to have some kind of securities and facilities to be sure that they cannot fail. And as soon as they start to understand how it's work and what is the big potential for them, basically with DeFi and the group of, let's say, transaction speed with super cheap interaction on the blockchain, that's super interesting. They just need to basically make this movement first to understand it.
Yeah. I mean, so you mentioned TradeFi, and where do you see TradeFi heading in the next 12 to 24 months? So it's been around for a while, and a number of organizations are working on it in the background or privately. Is it in relation to going to be cross-border payments and international transactions, or are we looking at being able to connect, say, the stock exchange with financial institutes, or are we looking at just simply digitalizing assets in general, or where do you see it heading?
At the current moment, they are investing in many projects, but it's mostly like, hey guys, we saw that you had a good project, so we're gonna lend you some money. We want to invest in your coin. A lot of them are also buying some Bitcoin. So basically, they believe in the technologies, they understand how it's work, and they see it as a secure way to basically have a cold storage in some cryptos, because they believe more, let's say, in maybe Bitcoins than Ethereum or than Zilliqa or than any other coin. Because basically, you need to understand that, first of all, when they hear about crypto, it's Bitcoin. The good thing is now they understand that there is a big part in DeFi growing, and they are looking to every ecosystem. And us includes Avalanche, Polygon. Basically, they're looking everywhere to understand more this technology. What is good is, so far they're investing and lending some money, and we see many more partnership. But they need still a bull run to understand it completely, I think, even if they are here since a long time.
And this bull run that's coming up, because there will be another one eventually.
Yeah.
Are we looking at in this year, 2022, or are we looking at 12 months, 24 months, 36 months?
I wish I could. I wish I could tell you the date. Like, hey
Golden
guys,
answer.
we're going to start this
Yep.
date, but no, I'm sorry, no, I cannot predict it. So no, I cannot predict the future, unfortunately.
It's you kind of, we're seeing glimpses of it, but then we're also seeing these mass upheavals as well that keep holding things back. And I mean, for anyone that was around in the 2017, 2018 bull run, and then that bear market, this is nothing like that. Like, this
No,
is completely different, and it's to me, that's what makes it so exciting.
true.
Is
But
that
also,
the fact? Sorry, go on.
I think also what is interesting is there is so many new blockchain, and we are all talking together, of course, because we want to open more bridge in between every blockchain. In some way, we want to create a big, let's say, cross-chain universe. I think because this will be the future. The stuff is also we are all competitors in some way, even if we are all open together, because we are all using different technology. And how I see things is basically a blockchain that can provide also a gamification, like great gaming for players that love to play on blockchain, and also some good DeFi where you can lend your money, borrow some money, also stake it, also provide, let's say, you reward into node providers for maintaining the security of the blockchain. So it's super interesting, basically, to see each blockchain developing different way, but also trying to be all connected together.
Yeah, I've seen back probably about 2 years ago. I remember there was a lot of talk about interoperability and that interconnectedness, and then it seems to have died down. But now, as I'm talking with a lot of different blockchains, being that we're kind of involved in so many different ecosystems, there are quite a number of ones that have really started to bring the focus back into that interoperability. And I think it's quite interesting circling back now towards interoperability, because the infrastructure is so much more advanced now than it was 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's actually capable, it's actually possible to actually do this. I haven't really heard much about it in relation to Zilliqa, so I'd be really interested to hear from you how it
So
looks currently.
at the current moment, we are testing the EVM compatibility for Zilliqa. So that means we have Scylla and we have Solidity, and we are making them compatible.
Yep.
We are developing it on the testnet. The good thing is we are moving fast, actually. We have really a good team of developers on it, and they're doing miracles, the way I feel it. Also, we're going to have soon a really famous wallet available on Zilliqa. Start with 2M, but I cannot reveal the name. And we are testing it, and it's working great. So when we're gonna validate it, let's say our EVM compatibility, we're gonna deploy it on the testnet, and everyone will be able to make their own test around it.
Yep.
And then in the future, it will be available on the mainnet. So everything will be much more easier, let's say, on this way.
Yep.
And also for, let's say you have a good DeFi product on a EVM compatible chain, and you want to develop it on Zilliqa, it will be available and quite super easy. So even Solidity programmers will learn Scylla and understand that Scylla is more focused for developers than the retailers, but they will feel it like more secured. And this is the good strength of Scylla. So with this, it will be like almost two different language on one blockchain, and it's super exciting.
I can imagine. So if you were trying to explain to a project team why they would want to build on Zilliqa over, say, Ethereum, given that Ethereum has just the mass ecosystem currently, but let's assume that EVM compatibility is there. What are those key points that you would explain why Zilliqa is going to be better for them to build on?
Because most of the new projects that I'm seeing at the current moment are, let's say, focused on the gamification and the gaming, right? And we are building a gaming hub. that will basically help them to develop their own game, to basically build a new ecosystem around that. So in fact, we are giving them the tools to come and to build more. Also, with our DeFi expanding soon, I can tell you they want to come. Our TVL will grow because we're gonna develop more application. Already, if you check our NFT collection, they are all getting sold out super fast. Solar Citadel is a great example. Dr. Death 2, when they release a new collection, it's sold out. And I'm like, whoa, this guy really, they don't leave the bear market like us. Like everyone, I mean, in general. And it's quite super interesting.
So you mentioned the NFTs are selling out.
Yeah.
Are these expensive NFTs? Are they on the cheaper side? Like, what sort of NFTs are being launched on Zilliqa?
I mean, I cannot really talk because it can be seen as a financial advice, but like for the price. But what I want to mean is like, yeah, our artists are selling a lot, and it's crazy how people love them. And actually, I own 5 of the NFTs, so because I really appreciate the work.
Yep, and NFTs are. I've spent a lot of time with NFTs, and although I absolutely love the technology, the NFT market currently just upsets me a lot. and I haven't been too involved in the Zilliqa one, but the reason why it upsets me a lot is because NFTs are viewed by so many people as, and I'm saying not just investors and people buying them, but by people who are minting them and creating them. They're viewed as the end product, as if I've created an NFT that's amazing, and that's all I need to do.
Absolutely.
When in reality, NFTs are just a piece of software. At the end of the day, it's just another piece of software, and it should be used as that piece of software to unlock more potential for your end product, whether it be artwork or whether it be a subscription or membership or whether it be merchandise or whatever your actual end product is. And if, like, we were talking about the CSGO NFTs, and although visually they have some improvements there, the fact that there was no mention of NFTs, I was saying to you, it was almost like a breath of fresh air in the sense that that wasn't the focus. The NFT, using NFT or using a digital asset, it's simply just that tool that they chose to use for the end product being the collectible cards.
I get what you mean, but also that's where Zilliqa as a company had a different focus with our NFT platform Rialto. Basically, it's a piece of art you will be able to buy, but you will receive it in real life. Basically, you will buy it, the NFTs, you will own these NFTs, and it will mostly be linked with a real piece. Let's say in real life. I don't know how exactly to explain it, but soon you will be able to test it. At the current moment, we are testing it, and we're gonna soon be live. The good thing is we have many great artists who are gonna publish and create more NFTs on this page. You will see it on Rialto. And the fact that you can unlock it also in real life will be a massive improvement for the NFTs, let's say, space.
So when you say can unlock it, can you explain how that? I'm actually really interested to hear how the actual unlocking works.
So basically, you will mint, if you are a creator, you are an artist. You created your piece of art, let's say a painting in real life, and you want to sell it on the market. You'll be able basically to create the new collection with this piece and directly sell it on Rialto, and it will be shipped. I don't know exactly how it's work. I'm not working on this project, but I know it's coming soon. You will be able apparently to receive it in real life. So I'm curious. I want to test it too.
I've seen a few projects and worked with a few projects that had this physical redemption, if I can put it like that, for merchandise and things like that. One of the ones was with LaMelo Ball, the NBA player. We worked on his NFT project, and it was a nightmare. And in the end, for numerous reasons, it was a nightmare. But in the end, what actually happened was because LaMelo had his own merchandise shop, they decided just to do the whole thing manually, and the idea would be that the redemption would happen, and then it would just get sent in a spreadsheet to the people at the merchandise shop, and they would just send it off manually, so completely separate to the blockchain. But then we worked on another project, NFT project, that was wanting to do the whole thing on chain, essentially, well, as much as they could on chain, as much as was viably possible, and that had its own nightmares in itself. But I won't get into that. But that, if you can break through and figure out how to automate that process in a cost efficient manner, I think will be a massive game changer for the utility of NFTs.
True.
Because I mean, you can have an NFT with a redemption trait to it or utility, but it kind of breaks down from being an NFT. And what's the point of having the NFT if everything else from clicking on the button is all off chain, in the sense that you don't really need the NFT then, for if it's just for that redemption process.
I, I
Arguably.
disagree. Yeah, I have to disagree, and that's a
Mm.
good point where you mentioned. But I have to disagree because the NFT you can transfer it, or you can give the ownership to someone else, to a
True.
different wallet. Also, if let's say the NFT utility is in different chain, then it's give a second utility directly to this NFT to be transferable and owned on different chain. On third, let's say when you have this NFT, it's like you own it mostly, even if it can be hosted off chain somewhere else. But the proof of this NFT is basically it's owned by you. So in one
Just
time
like
in
the
the time,
certificate of ownership.
exactly.
Yep.
Also, some NFT now start to be soulbound. So that means you cannot transfer it. It's linked to you, and only you have access
Yep.
to it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I
So
mean, that does
arguably,
make
of
sense.
course,
Yeah.
also at the current moment, we are working on a project for having NFTs that can be burned and receive something in real life directly. Like, let's
Yep.
say a jersey or something else.
Where the NFT gets destroyed, right?
Exactly. Basically,
Yep.
you have it on your wallet, you go at the
Mhm.
event, it get destroyed, you receive the real stuff in real life, and then
I
the
think
party
that's
to the,
interesting. Yeah.
let's say, the tickets for the party event directly.
Yep. Absolutely. Do you see so you've got a lot of utility there, and do you see there being the ability to combine that utility of the NFTs that you're looking at with DeFi?
Actually, yes, but for me, I don't see how a good project can work as an example with an NFT and you take a loan or a collateral, or you use the NFT as a collateral on some DeFi project. For me, this is a massive problem. But for redeeming, let's say, a value of the NFT in real life, then I see the full utility. Like
Yep.
Rect, as an example, Rect News. If you have a certain NFT, you can redeem it in real life for some jersey, T-shirt, casquettes, stuff like this.
Interesting. And I mean, so in my mind, one of the ways that I think is really worth exploring is the combination of identity, loyalty, and finance, and using NFTs as the mean of combining all those three things. One example of this, and this is kind of not really DeFi, but it's just the one that comes to mind to help convey the point, is think of a company with a whole range of employees, and they deliver an NFT to each employee as their digital ID, so to speak, and that's used to unlock the rooms and the building and the computers and things. But then, in addition to that, as the employees are meeting their KPIs, that gets monitored and tracked on the NFT itself, which is again kind of like their profile or their ID, and then that then allows the system to manage the bonuses and payouts and the loyalty features and reward program that's built into that company. That obviously isn't related to DeFi strictly, but expanding on that, I feel like there's a whole range of untouched potential with NFTs and the financial systems that we haven't really explored too much. Have you heard about that sort of stuff before?
Absolutely, absolutely. But you got a fair point. Why we didn't heard that before is because the NFT market is quite recent. It need to grow up.
Mm.
Let's say for the crypto world where you can simply make a swap with your wallet on a DeFi, it took 10 years to go to this point.
Yeah.
So the NFT world just started to exist. It will take a long time before it starts to really be super mature. Of course, there is a lot of research we are doing on that to see basically how we can update it, upgrade it, and modify maybe the smart contract code for NFT to make it even better. But it takes time. And
Absolutely.
this is where in crypto time is super precious.
Time is very precious in this space. Absolutely. I mean, NFTs are a whole nother kettle of fish. I mean, we could talk for hours on NFTs, but you originally started this conversation around DeFi and the exploration that you guys are doing there. In relation to liquid staking, for example, is that something that you guys either already have or exploring? Because that's something that, as RockX, we've partnered with people like Lido and a
Absolutely.
couple of others to build that for other blockchains. But what about Zilliqa?
We have Aveli Finance as an example, who is exploring at the current moment the liquid staking. We have also Ignite DAO, who will provide this availability of making liquid staking. So our ecosystem also is focused on that. I have to admit, we have many good projects starting to get live directly with liquid staking. Personally, I will recommend you Aveli Finance. The team is really good and they know what they're doing. So it's not a financial advice also, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the most exciting things in the DeFi space on Zilliqa besides that?
We are at the current moment building a borrowing and lending protocol that will be fully automated. That's take time, but the day it will be live is going to be amazing. I cannot really reveal too many things around that, but we basically have some good utility around this borrowing and lending and how it could, let's say, reward the users and the liquidity providers. I'm not actually wanting to name one of the protocols that helped us, but it's quite known and it's expanding fast.
Yep.
In this space. Yep. So people will soon know which one I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
I think it was a great conversation.
Absolutely. I sorry, I couldn't resist asking one more question, then one more question.
But yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you, Gandalf, for this session. And
thank you. There's a lot going on in this space.
Definitely. See you soon for the new adventure.
Bye, guys.